So I want to talk about my professional why. Someone had asked me about why I do the things that I do in my professional development, the purpose for my professional development. And I continue to tell people my journey. I have a professional journey that I created for myself. I have my own professional development plan that I've created for myself, right? And it all started maybe 2 years ago, I want to say. Maybe a bit longer, but I know for a fact about 2 years ago. So I created a my own professional development plan for myself. I planned out my journey of my year, my 2 year, my 5 year, and my 10 year, and what they all look like. Then what I did was I looked at the job that I wanted. So there are different jobs out there that I said, in 5 years, this is where I want to be. But what did those jobs entail? So I took four jobs, looked at the job descriptions, and some of it was similar, but a lot of them were still different. So whatever the four jobs had, I said, okay, they have this, 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 and this. And I developed that into a plan for me, right? So I wanted to be aware of what I could bring to the table. What are they asking of this particular person in this job? And then I developed myself for that, right? I wanted to be mindful of what every entity wanted. So, how do you do that? You make yourself in a roundabout way to fit those needs. And basically, they're the same things, but every entity is different. So, if you have the base, then I felt, okay, I can move forward. So, I made my plan and I have been striking them off one by one. Every task, every goal, every um, leadership journey that I have written for myself. That's what I decided to do. I know in our employment, we every year we have, like everyone else, we have our raises, correct? So we sit down with our director, we go over our performance for the year. And she always asks, "What's your goals? What's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals?" And you write them down. But I really started thinking about that, and it started to challenge me. So that's another reason why I made my own professional development plan. So on this journey, I have really jumped. I've taken steps, major steps, huge steps. But when I think about my why, and I think I've told this story before, the why came back to there was a job in Florida that reached out to me for a job. At the time, I didn't feel like I was ready. And I said, I never wanted that to happen to me again. I wanted to be ready the next time that did happen, which is the reason why I started building myself up. And not only have I gotten certain degrees, gotten certain certificates, and continue to make those steps and those stepping stones for myself, I said that when that ever comes again, if an entity ever comes around and asks me, you know, or give me a position, I never want to say no. I never wanted to turn it down, especially if that's what I want. That's the state I want to live in. That's the position that I want to do. And I know I can make it better, make it great. They believed in me. So I needed to be ready when the time came to take that position. So the only way you can do there, one is know your why. Why do you want to grow professionally? Why do you want to be in a different role? Why do you want to grow? If you don't know why you want to grow, then you're not going to grow. And if you do it for other people, then you'll never grow. You will start to do it and then you'll phase off, right? So the why has to be for you. The why has to be your journey. Your why has to speak volumes to you. And you never want to do this for anybody else. You never want to do it only strictly for money, because again, you will die off really quick because the money will not be there at first. It will come, but when you start doing all the steps, all the certificates, all the extra conferences, the meetings, the committee, sitting on boards, that's not going to get you the money. That's going to craft you for the with the skills to get you where you need to go, but it's not going to get you instant money. You can't say, "Oh, I want to be a director of a whole program," when you don't even know how to talk with the C-suite. You can't say, "Oh, I want to be a director of a whole program," when you haven't dealt with people before. Can you write them up? Can you discipline them? You really don't know until you're in that seat, right? I've had to tell somebody to go home because they smelled like a brewery, and the doctor didn't want them there. And so you have to go home and take a shower and come back. And if you don't come back, you don't have a job. I I was like, can I tell them to go home because they smell like a brewery? And so that was like calling HR, like, so this is what's going on. This is what's happening. And they're here. They smell like a brewery. They look like they just came from the club, yada, yada, yada. And HR was like, yes. And I was like, whoa. And the first time I had to sit down and really discipline somebody, I was nervous. I was shaking. I was like, oh my God, are they going to beat me up? Is it going to be a whole ordeal? You just never know. But the more you do it, the more you feel comfortable, the more you know your policies, your HR policies, what you can and cannot, say, especially with sitting down with HR before anything happens, going over a plan, going over what you can say and how you say it. Over time, you become comfortable with disciplining people and telling them, "You smell like a brewery. Go home." So you have to continue to build yourself up for you, and not for anybody else or for money, or oh well, if I do this my job will pay for it, or they will give me more money, because that may not be true. Every entity doesn't do that. So your why has to be for you. Your growth has to be for you. You cannot do it for anything else. So when you discover your why, I think I put it on my LinkedIn post, about, there was a guy, he was talking about, trying to figure out your why. His name was Simon, and yeah, I put it out there. It says finding your why. So there were some things that you would ask, like one of your best friends, like, why are we friends? What specifically about me that that I will be there for you? So they have to answer that about you. Why are we friends? I know my one friend in Dallas, why are we friends? Because she told me I was going to be her friend. She didn't even care. And ever since then, we've been friends. But I know she's my rider, she's my dyer. I can go to her, good, bad news. She's going to tell me the real, right? She's going to tell me what it is. She's not going to hold anything back. She's going to tell me the truth. That's why I'm her friend, because at the end of the day, I may want to hear something different, but she cares about me enough that she's going to tell me the truth. I don't have to guess or wonder. I don't have yes people that's just going to, agree. She's going to hurt my feelings enough to keep it real. So that's what you want to do. You want to find your why. Why do you want to become this next CEO or COO? Why? What motivates you to even do that? So knowing your why is the sum total of you, right? It's all about you. So You have to figure out your aspiration, your dreams, where you want to go, and develop that plan. How are you going to get there? What are the steps that you need to take to get where you need to be? Okay, so you're here. You have your bachelor's degree, but other entities are asking for much more. What steps are you going to take? Maybe you don't even have a degree. So are you going to go back to school to get your degree? Is it worth it for you to go back to school to get your degree to take you where you need to be? That's something you have to answer for yourself. No one can answer that for you. So you want to be here. So what steps do you have to take to get you there? Sit down, think about it, write it out. Write it out in a plan. Write out maybe 6 months at a time. Write out the first 6 months and then the second 6 months. And then next year. So then you have a whole complete 2 years. Keep writing out your steps of what you need to do to get to your goal. But you have to find your why first in order to craft your professional development plan. Write it out, mark them off one by one, one by one. And you know what I do? Every time I get to a goal, every time I successfully complete something, I buy myself a little something. That's just what I do. I like Pandora. Every time I do something, I complete something, I celebrate by buying myself a charm. That's just what I do. So you don't want to just knock off all these accomplishments. You actually want to, once you do them, acknowledge it. Sit in that acknowledgement for a while because that is something big for you. Because you are taking the steps, you're taking the time, you're creating yourself, you are developing you professionally. And that's what you want to do. So discover your why, make your plan, mark them off one by one, and be patient with yourself. It's not going to come overnight. It's not. Rome wasn't built in a day. We know that, right? So be patient with yourself and take the time to create you, right? Take the steps needed to get you where you need to be. And once you're there, you can pat yourself on the back because then you made it, right? You made it. So take time, take it, be patient with yourself, but make the needed adjustments to get where you want to be. You have to do it for you.